All right, welcome back to the SidelineStory podcast, man. I got a special guest in the building. I got my boy Cory. Appreciate you pulling up, big bro.
Man, I appreciate the invite. Thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's a pleasure for sure. So today I want to switch it up a little bit. Normally I talk about like the Mavericks and stuff like that. And whenever I have a guest on, we dive into random topics like side quest. One boy B Mill, shout out to B Mill here in New York. But I wanted to do something different today, so I got my guy Cory on, and we're gonna talk about the Boston Celtics. That's his favorite team, so we're gonna dive into it. I got like a few topics, it's gonna be real quick, so let's get it. Where you from? I want to get that out
I'm
the way.
from born in Houston, lived there for a couple months, and since then I lived in Dallas, raised in Dallas pretty much my whole life.
I don't know why I thought it was like the West Coast. I don't know why I thought that.
Nah, I was born in Houston, but then like right after I was born, like maybe a couple months after, like 2 months, maybe 3 months, we moved to Dallas. 'Cause all my family is Houston and Dallas, but more of them is in Dallas, so we moved to Dallas and lived there the rest of my life after that.
So you know I'm asking you that, right?
Oh, I know.
Why Boston? So how? So like from Houston, you Dallas, you thinking Rockets, Mavericks. So how did that translate to you being a Boston Celtic fan?
So for me, when I was like super young, like before I hit 5, like I wasn't really watching like basketball on TV or nothing. So I didn't really know what the fucking Mavericks was. I don't know if we can cuss on your shit, but I don't know what the Mavericks was for real. So when I started getting more into sports, like I was always watching ESPN Classic because at my mom's house we didn't really have cable. So the only games we could watch when I started watching basketball was the Mavericks games, like local
Mm-hmm.
or like whatever national televised games they had on like NBC. Like at least you have NBA on NBC. But when I go to my dad's house, he had cable over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always watching ESPN Classic. So like any sport, whether it was boxing, whatever, I was watching ESPN Classic, and they always showed either Michael Jordan or
Mm-hmm.
like Celtics Lakers reruns. So like all the reruns from like the 80s. And my brother, for whatever reason, was always rooting for the Lakers. He a year older than me. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna root for the Celtics. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
became a Celtics fan. I just to be opposite of him, I went for the Celtics.
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
actually, as I started learning, watching more and learning more about the game, I was like, yo, this motherfucker Larry Bird is cold. They had a dynasty. And so I
Different.
really became a fan instead of just picking them just to pick them. So
That's dope. So when you've been watching sports, like as long as like somebody like me and you kind of like look at teams through eras, So obviously we weren't old enough to watch like Bob Cousy and Bill Russell, respectfully. That's not our era,
right.
but we can kind of go back to like the Dennis Johnsons, the Kevin McHale's, Danny Ainge, Robert Parrish. We could watch, like you said, on ESPN Class, you could watch those games. And like what was supposed to be like the Len Bias era, rest in peace, we didn't really get to see
Yeah.
that. And so like coming through like right at the beginning of our era to where we're able to really comprehend the game, you got like the Kenny Anderson, Paul Pierce, the Antoine Walker era. You got that. So
Yeah.
I watched that like a little bit of that, and then you dip off into the Paul Pierce solo era where he was kind of doing this thing, averaging 20 plus points a game, great two-way
Yeah.
player. I love the truth, and we get into like the big three era. So I'm pretty sure like you were thriving in that era for sure because it was a lot of competitiveness, especially
Oh
from that
yeah.
team. I got to two finals. It could have been three in a row if Kevin Garnett hadn't got hurt
Yeah,
and the
he got
Bucks
hurt. Yep.
graduated.
Yep.
And so we get the tail end of that era. Danny Ainge makes a trade. He sends I believe it's Jason Terry, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett to the Brooklyn Nets,
Nets. Yep.
and we get a lot of draft picks in return. And if I'm not mistaken, those picks turn into like Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, and
Yep.
now we end up in this very moment right here. So you got Jalen Brown who comes in first, and you got Jason Tatum. I won't go in and out of like the moving parts, that come around them, but I want to kind of stay with those two. So in the beginning of that era, I wouldn't say they overachieved, but what I will say is that they kind of arrived early because
Yeah.
I think I heard LeBron say on his podcast today that Jason Tatum make the conference finals like the first 4 years, I want to say, or something like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Straight year. Yeah. His first 4, was it 4 or 5? Might have been 4 years. Yeah.
mhm,
He made it to the conference finals, and that was when we had Kyrie. That first year, Tatum rookie year, and so Kyrie was a big help, and then we got
right.
Hayward. So it was your first 4 years. I think it was just when you that young and naive, and you already come into a team that's already pretty good, it only enhances it. So it's not like he was going to like a bottom of the barrel team like how Phoenix was back in the day or something like that. They was already a decent team with Brown the year before, Then you add Tatum, who was already a monster coming straight into the league like that. It was, and then you got Kyrie. They was destined to. I mean, I think that was really that wasn't even our ceiling for. I think we could have made the finals. So we had a good series against LeBron, but that team was they could have did big things if they would have kept it together. I feel like.
So, and even before that, you even had the Isaiah Thomas, like that short,
Yep.
that short stint with like Jaylen Brown. They was even making it
Yep.
into the playoff runs, and so I'm
A lot
saying
of
that to
people
say
didn't like
like
how that ended too. A lot of people hated how they did him because his sister died, and they
that was
felt like we
bad.
should have paid him. It was a lot that went into that situation.
Um, so we get to the moment to where it's like, okay, you got these two cornerstones, and we're able to see like what they could be. You know, you start playing like a lot of hypotheticals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, we got Tatum, we got Brown. Those are our cornerstones. So now we got to find like the necessary pieces to plug in between them.
Right.
And now you into 2022, they make the NBA Finals, but I feel like inexperience played a factor because they went up against like the juggernaut in what was Golden State. Not necessarily a juggernaut at that point in
Mhm.
time, but I feel like they were very experienced and very battle tested.
Oh
So
yeah.
now you enter 2023. It's a heartbreak conference finals, whatever. And now it's 2024. Now, from my personal opinion, I feel like y'all can't get it done this year. So if we take from when they both entered as youngins to now like they're the veterans of this team, still very young at the beginning of their prime,
Yep.
how have expectations changed between the moment they entered into where they are now? Sorry if I was long-winded about that, but go ahead.
Well, as far as expectations, I don't know if they've really changed much. Like, I think this might be the first or second straight year. I feel like we've been like the actual front runner, like the favorite.
Mm,
And I think this year more than ever. But even the previous 4 or 5 years, I feel like we were on track and we were expected to win a championship, always compete for a championship for sure. But we should have got one in these past couple years. So the expectations is championship or bust. So this team, the way it's constructed right now, they added Porzingis to help out. If they don't get it done this year, I think Brown or Tatum, probably gonna be Brown more than likely. Somebody got to move along because it's just I got my reservations about them two already being on the same team playing together. But this is your best opportunity to get it done. Offensively, defensively, they got everything you need. There's no excuses now. Outside of an injury, I see no reason why they should not win the championship. Honestly, like it's destined.
Other than like the Denver Nuggets, my personal opinion, I think y'all may have the best starting lineup in the NBA because if you look at the dynamic of Derek White and Drew Holiday, and I'm a big Drew Holiday fan, like I think he may be one of the most underrated players of our generation
Yeah.
because it's like Derek White and Drew Holiday, they both able to protect the paint somehow, some way. They got a lot of IQ. Derek White, I
Mhm.
believe he started at San Antonio, so under that Greg Popovich tutelage, you learn a lot of intricacies of the game. So it's like those two, man in the backcourt. You got Porzingis, and I tell people, I think I told Chief that. Shout out to Chief. I told him this. This is the first time Porzingis is actually able to be a number 3 option because you remember when he was drafted to New York, it was Melo first. When he got traded to Dallas, it was Luka first, and then in
Yeah.
Washington, it was Bill first. And in Washington, he actually had a healthy season. It was low key because it's a low market team, but
Mhm.
he kind of flew under the radar. Now with y'all, it's like I'm pretty sure this has to be the happiest he's ever been in the NBA because you were a winning team. They signed him, didn't y'all sign him or not
Yeah,
yet?
we extended them. We extended them.
Yeah, I
It
did
was
extend him
like a
for
couple weeks
like
after we signed them. Yeah.
for the foreseeable future, like y'all got a nice big 3. I don't know how the salary cap gonna work. I know it's gonna get kind of rough, but that's neither here nor there. But other than that, though, how do you feel about the second unit of y'all team?
The second unit's not bad. I'm gonna go back to what you said about Drew Holiday. If you ask a
Okay,
lot
go
of
ahead,
dudes in
yeah,
the
go ahead.
league about Drew Holiday, they'll tell you he's the best defender in the league. From like KD to a bunch of these guys, they'll tell you Drew Holiday is underrated. He could have won. Can't he go somewhere? He could have won multiple like defensive players of the year. Like he's that good. Derek White, like you said, is a dog. Like their IQ is off the charts. They undersized like on paper, but they can guard damn near 1 through 4 just off of positioning and IQ and all that alone. So,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as the second unit, I like Hauser. You seen the other night he had a 30 point. Was it last night? He had a
Yeah,
30 point game.
yeah.
Peyton Pritchard off the bench. I know he was frustrated for a couple years not getting the roles he wanted, but he coming into his own. But I don't like our depth. Like I don't like Al Horford too much with this team no more. Like I feel like he's
Mm.
just too much just on the perimeter shooting threes. Can't go upstairs. He's shooting through too many threes on the perimeter, not really I mean, I don't expect him to be the old Al Horford, but I feel like we already
Right.
shoot too many threes as it is. So I wish he would kind of, I don't know, be more of a presence inside. Um, Losing Robert Williams hurt. He was a big man that held us down. I thought it was gonna be worse than what it is, but he's actually Porzingis is filling in well. Both of them got their injuries, but Porzingis for the most part has been there. So the second unit, I think we missing another wing that can back up Tatum and Brown. So that's why it
Right.
seems like one of them always has to be in the game.
Right.
But they at least play defense. As far as scoring, I mean, they
Mhm.
can't really do much, but I like how they hold it down on the defensive end. My bad. This boy
No, you good. You good.
background
You
so
good. You good.
crazy.
You good. So, you made an interesting point, and I'm gonna use that to segue into like the next topic, the Tatum Brown dynamic. If you watch Jaylen Brown over the years, he gives like the vibes of an alpha basketball player. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it's probably a few teams in the NBA where he could be option number one. Um, and when he plays, you get the feel that he feels like he belongs right with all of these players, like whether they playing against the Phoenix Suns, it's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, whether they playing against the Nuggets, whether they playing against the Bucks. Jaylen Brown is gonna be like, I'm an all-star too. I just got this max, I'm signing max deals too. Like I belong too. So it's like at some point, do you think I don't want to necessarily say ego and like brand may get in the way of the dynamic, but do you think there will be some sort of like tug of war, like a power struggle at the helm of like the hierarchy?
I actually think it already happened. I think it
Uh-huh.
happened 2 seasons ago.
Really?
Like that season where we made our run and went to the finals against Golden State and lost. I think it happened that season. Because I think Jaylen Brown, that's when he was trying to prove he was the one, and that was
Mhm.
before he got the contract. And so I think that's where they had to push and pull. So I think now, I don't know if they'll continue to play together, but I don't think it'll be like a conflict between them two where it's like one's trying to be the alpha or Batman Robin, whatever you want to call it. Because I think it already happened. I think pretty much everybody tell you Tatum is the one. Like I don't think there's really much of a debate about it anymore. But Brown, like you said, could very well be a one on a bunch of other teams. It just so happens that you're playing with one of the best players in the league. So it's not a knock to him per se, but it's just the way it stacks up. And he's also a very, very smart dude. So obviously he
Very
knows
smart.
that. And if he had a problem with it, or if he had a real issue with it, I don't think he would have wanted to resign here. So I think he kind of understands it already, and he just kind of accepts the fact that, hey, I may not be the guy, but I'm still on any given night I can be the A on this team, and I can go to another team. And yeah, I might go to like a Rockets team where they might not be as good. I make just as much money, but what are my chances of really winning the chip? Are they better than where I'm at right now? And so I think he's in a good spot right here. So
I think the front office believe in that dynamic because like the extension was amazing. Like,
yeah.
shout out to generational wealth, you know what I'm saying? So it's like Tatum will he'll surpass that deal. But like you said though, if they signing me and we competitive, this particular era of Boston Celtics, like y'all always competitive. So it's like, what's really
Mhm.
the point of me moving on to another team when we in the mix? We in that small NBA Finals bubble
Yeah.
every single season. What's really the point of moving on? Could you see him moving on?
I could, yeah, just because if you like you said, it's been so many years, if you still ain't got the job done yet, I don't know if it'll be per se him moving on by choice. It might be the front office saying, okay, this ain't working. And if we got to choose between Tatum and Brown, I mean, I think they would choose Tatum over Brown. I personally like I think they I think they neck and neck with each other. I'm not really one that thinks that Tatum is head and shoulders above him, but I could see the team moving on and saying, okay, he's got to go and trying to bring in a different piece, not another wing, maybe like a true point guard, like type all-star player,
Mhm.
something like that to try and get it done. I actually thought they were going to try and make a trade for Dame and get rid of Brown before Dame went to Milwaukee. So, but I could see something like that happen.
Brown is 28, 27, 28, right?
27. He may have just turned 28. I know he's a year older than Tatum, so I know Tatum is 26.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's either 27, maybe 28. I think 27 though.
So I would say like he's kind of in the middle of his prime. So towards the beginning, like beginning going into the middle of his prime, you kind of are who you are at this point in your game.
Mhm.
Do you think Brown has a level to unlock, or do you kind of see like this is kind of what he is?
I don't think he got another level to unlock. I think it's more so fine tuning. Like one
Right.
is cutting back on the turnovers, which him and Tatum need to do. I think it's just smarter shot selection, which they both need to do. And then just I think it's like when it comes to crunch time and like when the game is on the line, it's like the decision making gotta be like razor sharp, like no second guessing. Cause I feel like a lot of times when he has the ball, he second guesses himself, whether it be like, oh, they say I can't go left, I'm gonna force myself to go left and all these different things. I think sometimes it can get in his head. I think he just needs to go out there, play ball, and just kind of develop what he's already. I don't think he's gonna reach another level to where he's gonna become like a top 10 player in the league. I think he's like on the maybe like 15, 20-ish. But I think he can fine tune where he's at and cut down on turnovers, which will increase his efficiency, which in turn will make him a better player. But I don't think it takes him to another level really. But he's got some things he can work on to get his team to the ultimate goal, which is the championship.
Hmm. When y'all traded Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies, I guess it was kind of this thing to where people saw Marcus Smart taking shots like he was an option number one or number two.
Right.
Marcus Smart he plays with a lot of confidence, and he feel like he
Mhm.
can make and take those shots as well. Do you see any what is the difference between offensive opportunity that you see minus Marcus Smart with Tatum and Brown? Do you see like more openness offensively?
Yeah. So Marcus Smart was another guy who, when he was on, but when he was like off, he
Mm,
was bricking everything left and right. And I think when you replace him with like Drew Holiday is a more savvy player. They're both great defensively. But
right.
Drew Holiday won't force as much. He won't turn the ball over as much, and he can kind of slow the game down for us and get us back on track. And I also think the thing with Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon, who were there last year, they kind of had a thing back and forth with each other. They were kind of going at it over playing time, like which caused like a little rift in the team. And so I think I knew one of them had to go. I actually thought it was just going
Right.
to be Brogdon. I was surprised by the Marcus Smart trade. But I just think with Smart being a locker room leader, or he was a leader, I think you can't be the face of like drama within the team. You should be the one squashing the shit that's going on within the team. So I think him being in the middle of it with another player is one of the reasons why he ended up getting traded, in my opinion. I don't know if this is fact or not. This is how I see it happening on the court. Like him and Brogdon had an issue. Derek White was butting in. He was taking all the minutes because he was playing better than both of them. And so he wasn't going anywhere. So I think Brogdon had to go. And then Smart, I think it just kind of the issues between them, I think kind of got him traded. And then, but I like what we got now with Holiday and White because
Mhm.
Holiday slows the game down and he keeps us on pace. And you can see by the record and how they playing, everything is smooth when he's out there.
All right, so we talked about Jaylen Brown. I kind of want to transition into I'm gonna title it the Jason Tatum conversation. So I can't remember who said this, and they made an excellent point, and I kind of want to start using this as a measurement to great players. So Jason Tatum, for instance, it's like sometimes he can have these games where it's like, oh, he top three,
Mhm.
undeniable. And some other games, it's like he could be spotty. You know what I'm saying? Um, when is Jason Tatum gonna have that? Well, the point I was making, somebody used Dirk Nowitzki 2011 playoff run.
Mhm.
They were saying like, when is Joel Embiid gonna have this moment to where he could get out the first round, get out the second round, and really have an undeniable run, a dominant run in the playoffs to where it's like, okay, he might be the best player in the league right now. Like, I want to kind of like use that on Jason Tatum. Like, when do you think that particular run is coming? Because it's like we know Tatum is brilliant. It's undeniable. The talent is
Mhm.
amazing. 6'8", 6'9", he could shoot. He a 3-level scorer. He could defend. He could pass. He can make the right play. But when is he going to have that specific playoff run to where it's like, okay, everybody that was in front of him, you could tell he was the dominant player each and every time. When do you think that moment is coming?
So I don't know if it'll be able to happen this season just because we are the front runners and we're expected to get there. So I think if anything, he'll get more backlash this season if we don't win a championship. Like when Dirk did it, they weren't necessarily the one seed. They weren't favored. So when he went on that run, it seemed like he was doing like the impossible going against like the Kobe's and all those other guys. But with Tatum, I think he can definitely silence some of the noise within the league just by getting back to the finals and finally winning it. But I don't know if it will be like his defining moment. I think his defining moment will come later on in his career when the Celtics aren't necessarily the front runners, and then he goes out there and proves that, yo, I can still, even if my team isn't top notch, I can still carry them, which he's done in the past. But like you said, that hasn't equated into the championship yet. So I think his time is still coming, but he does on the court still have something to prove. He got to cut down on taking all those threes. He's got a great mid-range shot. He got great length and range. He's got to be able to use that more instead of just settling so much and just getting to the rack. But he, yeah, like I said, he's generational for sure. But if he wants to reach that top three, like that a consistent top 3 in the player in the league like level, he's gotta get the ring, and then he's gotta just do it like you said on the biggest stage when his team isn't as good. So right now it's expected. So if he does it now, he's not gonna get the credit for it.
Right.
It's gonna come down the line, I feel like, when he does it, if he does it, where he really gets considered as top 3, possible face of the league, those type of things.
So let me ask you this: the next step in Jason Tatum's game looks like what?
I don't think he can be per se LeBron. I don't
Right.
think he obviously can't pass as well as LeBron. His scoring is on par with LeBron. I mean, some people may say he's a better scorer. I think he has more as far as a 3-level scorer, he's got it, but I think it just comes with the decision making. Same with Brown. Like they gotta cut down on turnovers, they gotta take smarter shots, and they just gotta get their team more involved. Like sometimes you see Jalen Brown and Tatum playing out there, and it's like they're playing 1-on-4. Like one possession is Brown doing it, the next possession is Tatum. And so, which is why I like Drew Holiday because he can kind of get them out of that. But I think it's just kind of veering away from that and kind of taking a backseat sometimes, getting your teammates more involved to where the game gets easier for you down the line. So when we get to the fourth quarter, everybody's not so zoned in on you because you might have 2 other teammates that are hot and having good games. As far as just instead of you just having like your 45 and everybody's focused on you, because we know you can do that. We've seen you score 45, we've seen you score 50.
Right.
Let's see you get everybody else involved and see how. I think that can elevate his game and evolve it, get the team even better, evolve everything going forward. So I think that's the next step is just making everybody around you better.
I think for a lot of offensive players, a lot of the time, like when they come in the league for like 4 or 5 years and they average like 25 plus, it's like, okay, you could score. You may need to work on your defense, but like, can you make everybody around you better? And we see that this year with like Devin Booker. Like when you look at the stat line, a lot of time it's like anywhere from 6 to 8 assists. That's kind of the sweet spot for a player with offensive talent.
Yeah.
That next step, can they make their players better? And like I like how you equated that to Tatum. So last but not least, man, the one things that will prevent the Boston Celtics from winning a championship this year.
Well, the number one is I think an injury. Like obviously Porzingis in his career has been injury prone.
Mhm.
The last finals we had Tatum with the wrist injury they said he had. So I think number one is just injuries is what could derail us. If you want to go outside of injuries and actual like this basketball what's happening on the court,
Right.
I think the only team in the East that will give us trouble is going to be the Knicks, just because they play such tough defense. Tom Thibodeau can scheme his ass off, and I think he might have something like that he's holding in the tuck for just in case they see us in the playoffs, whether it be conference finals or whatever level it may be. After that, I think the Nuggets are for sure going to be coming out the West. I think it's out of them and actually Minnesota. I think the Nuggets will get them though. And then, like you said, that starting 5 is arguably the best in the league over there. So Jokic is always gonna he's reached that level of like he's making everybody around him better. He showed you he can score, he can do everything. And so he to me is I think not even questionable top 3 player in the league. He just got a ring, and I think they the best threat out of the West to get it done is them. So I think those are the 2 things that'll stop us. But I think if we play on our best and they play on our best and they playing their best, I think we got them. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
I like how you brought up that New York Knicks team.
Yeah.
Yo, that OG Anunoby trade, I don't think people really understand how sneaky that was. Like
Yeah.
that was one of them things where it's like, I don't know if people know this, but like OG can go at the big man. You know what I'm saying? Like he can get out there on Porzingis. They may throw him on Porzingis. I don't know, but like that's for like I feel like that trade was tailor made for Brown and Tatum. It's like OG, go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You go get on them and the way Jalen Brunson is playing. I mean, they do have players that they could. I got like 3 or 4 players I could throw a different look at Jalen Brunson, even though he's playing at the top of his game right now. Like if a healthy Knicks team and a healthy Celtics teams, I'm here for all of that. I'm locked in every game.
Yeah,
How do you
that's the one that scares me just because the Knicks, they rebound so well and they're big, so like super active. And with us, like Horford don't rebound at the same level he used to, and it can't be all on Porzingis to grab all the boards. So I don't know how it's gonna play out. I think Brunson and Holiday is gonna be a chess match. And like you said, OG is sneaky if he gets healthy because he's still kind of in and out the lineup. So it's if he can get healthy, he got a couple months to get it right. But yeah, that's the matchup in the East that scares me. I think, and Tom Thibodeau is a great coach, defensive minded. They're gonna be out there playing. And if it's conference finals, New York Knicks, that's like one of the marquee franchises. So that crowd is gonna be rocking out there. It's gonna be a hostile environment. So it's gonna be a hell of a series if it gets to that point.
I think the Knicks are one player away from like really being able to really do some things like from contention standpoint, but you don't really fear Milwaukee. I haven't heard you. You haven't said them in this in your soliloquy or so.
Nah. No, I think
got
Milwaukee
y'all
is
beating
great.
Milwaukee. I got y'all beating Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Milwaukee is good. I think they're probably gonna finish the 2 seed. But when I'm looking at the playoffs, I'm looking at how the game changes in defense and half court offenses. Like, I think Giannis, Giannis is gonna do his numbers. Giannis and Dame are both gonna pretty much do their numbers. Dame's been kind of like a little bit off this season, but it seems like he's
Mhm.
picking up. And it's their first year playing together, so they kind of still got to build the chemistry up. But yeah, when it comes to them playing us, I don't really fear it just because, and we actually play them all night, so that's gonna be kind of we're gonna see where each team is at. I don't know if Giannis is gonna play, but I don't fear them right now just because I don't fear their second unit at all. I think Pat Bev is nice, but I don't really. Yeah, I just don't think I think when it comes to starting five, we got them clearly, and then the second unit, ours has been playing better than theirs this season. So Doc Rivers in the playoffs, the critique on him, like he can't get it done in a big game. So just overall, I don't see them really. I can see the series going maybe 6, but I think we can get them out there in 5. So
I don't know if it was Ron Russillo who said this. Somebody said this, but Drew Holiday going to the Celtics had to have been the worst thing for the Bucks because I feel like the familiarity is there with them because they was both in the Western Conference. And
mhm.
you remember when Portland got swept by New Orleans, and I think that was the team that DeMarcus Cousins was hurt on because it was like Holiday, Rondo, AD, Boogie. That was a scary team, but Boogie got
Yeah,
hurt towards Achilles. They swept the Portland Trailblazers, so it's like it's some. I'm pretty sure some things in Dame's game. I'm pretty sure he changed some things in his game, but I know he's a little older too. But it's like Drew, he pretty much knows Dame. They was in the same conference. They played multiple
yeah,
times a season, So now you get to keep looking at a play over and over. I just feel like he might take it personal. The
yeah.
last thing you want is for a high IQ, high level defender to take it personal. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like I just feel like he might take on that challenge for real. So I think that's kind of bad that he got traded. He got kicked out. Dame moved in, and they might actually see each other.
But
I
I
think
also
that's
think you flip that coin and think about Dame, like you said, he spent all those years in Portland, never really considered a front runner, never really had a true chance at a championship, and now he's got like his prime opportunity. So he's not gonna take that lightly come playoff time. So we might see a whole different Dame. We've never seen him with a legit shot at a ring. So
true. That's true.
it's a lot that's
Both
gonna
ways.
like happen in these playoffs or like going down the end of the season. We're gonna see a lot of like shit's gonna turn up and players gonna really start getting into it towards that last couple weeks of the season. Then we're really gonna get a good gauge on who's where. Embiid might be coming back, so we'll see where he's at with it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard you can't really count them out, even though in the past Damon Holiday had they back and forth, but I don't know who would have the edge in that matchup because they both one's great offensively, one's great defensively. So that's gonna be a hell of a matchup, actually. Hell of
Yeah,
a matchup.
that's gonna be dope. Well, man, that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you sliding through, man. We be in the group chat so much, and I sit back, I'm like, his IQ is pretty nice, so I'm like, why
Yeah.
not get some content out of it, man? So we're going to have to definitely get back in the lab again, man. I want to work with you some more, man. We probably have to get some.
No, for sure, anytime. But also, I didn't get to talk about Rondo. Rondo is my
Holla at me,
favorite player of all time.
Boston
He
Celtics player.
Yeah, Celtics were like I remember. I mean, he won a championship his second year in the league, but since he was a rookie, came in. Rondo's been my favorite player just because he played basketball kind of how I was playing basketball. Because I was in high school at the time when
Mhm.
we won that ring, and he came along. But like just defensive minded, just just could make any pass on the court. He could score when he wanted to, triple double machine. Like he
Defender.
wasn't a shooter per se, but he was that guy. So
He one of the smartest point guards I ever watched, if we're being honest.
oh
Like
yeah,
one of the smartest, super smart, and LeBron talked about that on this pod today. He was saying that as far as like teams with IQ, it was like when I won in the bubble, it was me and Rondo. We was the smartest players out there. So yeah, Rondo's super
no
dope.
yeah,
At one point, he was the best
he's
point
that
guard in the
guy.
league.
Oh yeah, he was a machine. He was tough. He was just night in, night out. Just he can get you 20 boards, 20 assists. Just he was
Oh
just going crazy, man. Just he could finish around the rim. Like Rondo was that dude, and he was playing. He was set up in a perfect situation because he had all veterans around him. He was a young guy, all vets. Obviously, he had his locker room issues with a couple, but it's just like he was just a dog, man. Like Rondo was,
Rondo's super dope.
man. That's my boy. I love Rondo.
I think what I want to do around the playoff time, we could probably let a couple of games go by, and then I could probably bring you on back, and we could probably get like a little analysis of who they playing in the first round. We can do it like that, keep it moving like that
Yeah.
the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. We got to talk about these Mavericks too one of these days. I still watch them. I follow the Mavericks. I like what they doing out there.
Oh
I
yeah,
called it. I called it when they drafted Lively. I said he's gonna help their defense a lot, and
I like
he's
Lively.
anchoring it.
I like
Yeah.
Lively a lot.
So,
I like him and Luka in that pick and roll situation, man. We're gonna definitely get back in here and cook. I got some stuff I gotta get off too, but I know you do too. But I'm gonna let you get back to the COD, man. I know you over there getting them kills, man.
nah, I mean, low internet trash, so he probably ain't even get back on. So I'm probably gonna go to sleep anyway, man. This fool.
I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna get this upload. I'm putting in the chat so y'all can see this joint.
All right, bet, man. I appreciate you having me, dog.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure was mine, bro. You have a good night, bro.
Yeah, man. You too, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.